Nigerian history.
Yeah.
So, Sultan Kamal, you are the one with the Generation for Societal Change.
Yes.
You can just start telling us how well we've preserved our past, events or cultures or history as a nation.
Thank you very much for a robust question asked.
Yes, sir.
I mean, I'm already going back and forth and back and forth with my thoughts and trying to articulate your answer to that robust question. But yeah, I'd like to start by saying we've been doing poorly with all of this. Back in the days, I remember early in the 90s, I can't speak for that particularly, it was a thing of pride going to the museums. There were Independence Day and kids from all around the nation were looking forward to it. The calligraphy, how much effort they kept, they put into preparing for these days, what it meant to them, the history of the past. You could hear us sing our national anthem as though it meant something to us. And that was because history was being taught in school. And from the past, we were able to basically drag the pride of our achievements, of our heroes past. I mean, it meant a whole lot. You could basically see it through when our parents told the stories we heard. There were even subjects inclined to all of this. When we spoke about the likes of Jaja of Opobo, the Ladi Kwali, the Odudua, Idris Aloma, Queen Amina of Zaria. You spoke about Sardauna and his wife. I mean, and the artists were basically soaked in pride when they wrote the stories of these people, when they painted the story. And just by mere looking, it felt as though you were there. And from the past achievement, you took your head held high and felt the pride of being a Nigerian. But unfortunately, right now we are inclining to just quite a lot that isn't our story. We are so dependent on the story told by people about alien lands, about Western civilizations that we didn't belong in. And I mean, one question I would ask is, how can you be the main character in a story you were never part of?
Okay, talking about being the main character in a story you were never part of, that is why we're talking about preserving our past. So it means that if the story was properly told, then it should be like an inheritance of knowledge, so that even if you weren't born as at that time, at any time that you have access to this piece, there should be someone standing by to be able to give you the in-depth knowledge of what you should know, what had happened. For instance, if you go to museums in Nigeria or around the world, there are museums outside Nigeria that have our African section. So, for instance, in Nigeria, you go to museums and you see someone taking you on a tour to tell you this was what happened in Benin Kingdom, this was what happened during this time, and all of that. So, still on that notion, right? I would love you to also expatiate. Even if we allegedly say that we did not do well and we're beginning to lose that culture, I still love to always bring in your thought on what you think that various people, leaders, guardians, and individuals can do to see that we still preserve the past a bit, so that we don't lose out on, because if there was no happening in life, there will be no history. So if we're not growing forward and we keep going forward without
to our curriculum, I doubt if schools still have history in their curriculum.
Right? I remember that.
I think it's one controversial issue. At some point, history has been brought back, history is not
it's been taken back, just replaced with some other subject
so that's one thing. I would have never called the likes of Ajala the Traveler. I would never mention if I didn't come into contact with it, because I didn't live there. And when I heard these stories, this was where I fetched my pride. This was where I knew what the meaning of my national anthem, when it stated the labor of our heroes past shall never be in vain. To reflect on the past, I needed to know the story of the past. And the stories are no longer told. we had indigenous literature. Aside the history, we had brilliant writers, Chinua Achebe, we had Wole Soyinka, some titles,
kingdoms,
but now we have we see all of these ones coming and infiltrating our society. And we didn't used to write about romance and crime and the likes. Even in
it was more of adventure.
Exactly. Even in some of our books, we had Simbi and Obi. We had Ali, and ethics, about our values, about our history, and how you as a Nigerian ought to be. History and how you as a Nigerian ought to be. It wasn't something that was brought out of, so it kept us in check. Are these things still shown on our television set? Are these still the conversations we are having on the street? Back then in the evenings, we knew that there's a certain grandma or old auntie after we finished playing football that would tell us about our past. All of these things are non-existent. And what is it replaced with? I mean, entertainment. And what kind of entertainment? From
entertainment and distorted facts from different quarters.
Ours. And why is the distorted fact surviving in this? It's because we do not have custodians of our past. We don't even value them enough.
Okay, we are actually going to take a quick break now to go pay some bill, but I just quickly
did go to before. That story for another.
We'll get to find out.
Let's take a quick break. When we come back, the conversation will continue. Do join us again.
Hello, Nigeria. Hello, Africa. Do you want to work in the healthcare sector? Do you want to be a trained, certified nursing assistant, medical assistant, or caregiver? If yes, then register to enroll for Push Africa's one-year diploma in certified nursing assistance training happening at the African University College of Science and Technology, Abuja. Targeted trainees are unemployed graduates, O-level or ordinary diploma graduates, or anyone interested in working as a support worker in the healthcare sector. For details, log on to www.pushafrica.org or WhatsApp 080-339-42015, 080-339-42015. For registration, pick up application form at our partner radio stations or visit the reception at the African University of Science and Technology, Abuja.
Things they happen for our community, eh?
Now I can recoup back all the money I have spent on this annoying family.
Hey, yeah, that woman own don't finish.
My dear, let's go and greet them, okay?
Hey! Join Media Coalition and Awareness to hold trafficking, MICAS, on I Wish I Knew radio drama and program every Saturday at 10 a.m. on Eagles 102.3 FM Abuja. Join us to kick human trafficking out of our society. I Wish I Knew radio drama and program is brought to you by MICAS and funded by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Denmark.
Sorry for the inconvenience.
I suppose it was inevitable. Eagles 102.3.
All right, we are back. Thank you so much for staying with us. If you are just joining us, this is the National Core Values live on Eagles FM 102.3 Abuja, and we still have Sultan Kamal right here in the studio. And today we are looking at preserving our past, protecting our future, the importance of Nigerian history and culture. I mean, dear listener on the other side of the radio, if this conversation is already tickling your fancy, if it's something that you can relate to, if it's something you consider very important and you think it should be on the front burner, aside, politicking ahead of 2027 or 2026, as it were, then you should take it upon yourself to be part of the conversation by calling us on 090-7353-0044 or
090-8766-8888.
Leave a message or a voice note on the WhatsApp portal number, and that will be 090-9705 44 and 50. Remember that we are streaming at the moment on YouTube and Facebook at Eagles FM Abuja. Do well to join the conversation as well. How best do you think we can preserve, our history? I mean, the Nigerian history and culture. How best do you think we can preserve it? And do you really think that as a people, and then when I say as a people, let's not, point fingers at the government alone now, because the leaders, they have the role to play, quite all right. You too, you have a role to play as a parent, as a person, you have a role to play. So what exactly do you think we need to do together to protect and also preserve the Nigerian history and culture? So call us and tell us what you think. And if you have solutions, of course,
let's share your
profile
thoughts.
those solutions. let's hear from you.
Yes.
Sultan Kamal from Generation for Societal Change is still here in the studio, and before we actually went on that break, we had a conversation around history as a subject. Whether or not it is back in our school curriculum, and we've been able to fact check that it is indeed back, and teachers have been well trained also in that regard on the reintroduction of history. Beyond reintroducing history to the school curriculum, Sultan, what more do you think we need to do at this point in time? I mean, there are museums, across the country, of which people hardly even visit now. Yeah. People rather go on vacations, they rather travel to Zanzibar, travel to Kenya, Tanzania, just like you did recently.
Mine had a purpose.
Just like you did recently.
On that again. Actually, listen, last week.
Or they travel to the Maldives, or they travel to Japan or China. Countries with so much history and facts.
That's it.
And we're forgetting what we have.
And we have the same history here.
Yeah. But what was important? Let me first preserve my own dignity.
Okay. Please go ahead.
I sang our songs and beat our drums. I told the story of Nigeria.
Do you have proof?
Yes, I do. I'll show you. Almost all of the people I met all around the world want to visit Nigeria now. So that's for a difference. And I'm back in Nigeria. I'm back at home. It didn't make as much difference as you'd put it. That I didn't drag back. I'm back.
There's no place like home.
There's no place like home. But I mean, just as we have initially put that history is important, and yes, it's good that it's back and reinstated in the curriculum. One thing we need to do is also revamp our museum, our culture. You've seen countries like some of the countries you have mentioned who have thriven just because they've been able to preserve their history, their past, and told the stories really well. It gave them some sort of pride, and it put them up above ranks just because they are able to do that. It means that they have a direction, and it's making their economy boom. One thing that stood out for me, most especially in Senegal, which I recently visited, is the fact that they still preserve their local culture of doing things. Their
attire,
their delicacies, their hand beads, their accessories, their historic places. I mean, they preserved it and they told the stories. You could tell that out of 10 Senegalese, maybe 7 of them were already into tourism. That was what it was all about. I saw firsthand that they preserved it. Some of their stories were really painful to hear, talking about slave trade and all of that. It was really painful, but you could tell that they dragged strength from that past, and then people came in. Right, there are scenes where even the world leaders longed to visit. People came in to witness firsthand all of this, and it gives them some sort of strength and some sense of identity.
Right.
Not to talk about places like Kenya that are big on their wildlife. Right, they are preserving what they are known for, and the heritage. Their dialect. You hear them speak Swahili, right, and they try to preserve it firsthand. And this is what's evident all around the world. This is what they are known for. When you talk about Kenya, there's not much you can say about them aside their culture. You could see on their flag the representation of all of this.
They are proud of their country.
So we need to preserve all of this. We have a rich history that we can also benefit from, attract tourism, right, to us, so that they can come and tell. And nobody actually knows your story. Nobody will tell your story as best as you will. So, I mean, this is a shout, this is a call to the Ministry of, I think, tourism, right, and culture. We need to do better. We need to have festivals that will present our culture. Let people see us bask in our pride of being Nigerians. See us wear our attires, tell our stories, have beautiful moments in all around the world. I am telling you.
And anywhere you found yourself also.
Yes, there are all of these things everywhere. Our Ankara should mean something. We should back it with pride and all of this.
All right.
Why not?
Talking about Ankara, I know that every part of Nigeria and state, especially most states and communities, they all have a particular Ankara that is called aquaculture that represent where they come from. Once you put that on, if you're from south, they know you're from the west, they know you're from the north, they know, and all of that. And we also know that Nigeria is blessed with a lot of places to visit. Back in the days, let me say in the millennium, I don't know when that is called, but I'm talking about, let me say 2000 to about 2007 thereabout. Those were the time where I know that we have a lot of people always traveling into Nigeria for tourism, and we have a lovely, amazing places to visit. And I'll first start from my place, Obioma Obudu Cattle Ranch was one of the best as at that time. I also have other places like the Yankari in Bauchi. We have places beautiful in Sokoto. We have Makodi. We have a lot of amazing, beautiful places, even in the south region that people were, maybe thriving, coming to Nigeria every now and then just for them to be part of that. But the time is changing, and the one thing we know for sure is that change is constant. And this is the 21st century according to us. Gen Zs are taking over the world. A lot of technologies are coming on board and all of that. So in your own thoughts now, how do you think we can take advantage of this recent technologies, to revive our culture?
So thank you very much. And I'll start by saying all of this technology are dependent on inputs, right?
Okay.
To make things faster, to make things more beautiful, and to even basically make the reach even go farther. In all honesty, it means that our story can go farther than our feet can. Our story can be greatly portrayed and be modified to be even more beautiful than it is. Our stories can be shared across platforms, right? We can utilize AI to create things that maybe would have been eroded with history, but we can then explain to the AI how it's like, just so that we can have a sense and a feel and a visual interpretation of what it feels. So technology is dependent on input, and our creativity still exists within us. It depends on what we feed into it. So technology, if we want, will do no harm to our history. Instead, it will help us even propagate it better. Because on social media, it means that we can put it out there for the world to see what we are made of, and how proudly we wear all of these things, how proudly we own up to it. So technology shouldn't do us much harm, and we shouldn't hand over the keys to our future to just the Gen Zs. For every society to thrive, it actually needs the experience and wisdom of the old people, and then the vibration and youthful energy of the youth. But once you depend on one alone, then there's doom just standing right in front of us, because the young people alone do not know what the past is, and the past tear our direction to the future and our now, right? And the old people do not know what the advancement is. So it's about some sort of collaborations to see what are the advantages here and what were we all about here, so that we can then rally together to make us even stronger. Yeah.
All right. I see a message right here, and this is from Uche from Akamata. Says, "Good afternoon, Ife, Holy Ray, and the guest in the studio. I no longer trust our history in this country again, because some of these, historical facts, they've been adjusted, I believe, and now controversial, because there is also different, face of our history. Which one are we to trust? History told us that Mungo Park discovered River Niger. Where were the residents then? Our history, I'm afraid of it, because it will be more politicized now than before. That's my fear." Uche from Akamata, thank you so much.
Thank you, Uche.
I was actually going to ask you a question. Recently, I saw a video. One of these political analysts, actually saw him, he made that post on his WhatsApp status, and I saw it. It was quite, interesting, to watch, talking about the Lord Lugard House in Kogi State, somewhere in Kogi State. And, over time, I have expressed, dissatisfaction with the level of development in Kogi State, especially because I have actually applied that route a couple of times, sometimes it's actually very good to travel by road. So you really get to know firsthand, what is going on, across states of the Federation. Now, an ancient and historic state like Kogi State, when you talk about, the colonial era, you cannot subtract Kogi State from the equation.
At all.
Now, there are sites, there are locations, very historic sites and locations in Kogi State.
Yeah.
What are we doing as a nation to preserve these sites and locations? There was a time I was actually making efforts.
To even sustain the name, self.
I was making efforts to, embark on some sort of, adventure. And Kogi State was actually first on the list. And someone asked, of all places, why Kogi State? That place is so boring. I'm like, I'm not going there just for the fun of it. There are places I actually want to see. There are places I've actually heard and I've also read about. I want to see. Now, this Lord Lugard House that was actually pictured in that video, it is left with nothing to write home about. So is it negligence on our part as a nation, or it is deliberate that we just trample on these facts so that we can deprive the younger generation of what was obtainable in the past?
I believe it's negligence, first and foremost. And in all honesty, even though there's a lot of truth to this submission, I'd like to start by saying that is what has taken us this wrong so far. I mean, if all of these things were preserved, just imagine what is preserved. You can't come and doctor. Yeah. Right? You can't manipulate.
Absolutely.
Because it's there for you to see. It's fact. You can already see it. But because it wasn't preserved, that's the gap. But however, do we let ourselves still keep on going down the drain? At least there's a trace to this story. How about revisiting it? How about protecting it before it's all eroded? What would be left? How do we sustain our history? If we do not still maybe believe in what we have and still fact check it and try to set it straight, then I am sorry, the future generation would have nothing at all and will be lost in nowhere, in fact, because I mean, there's nothing to see. So, and that's why these conversations are important. This is a call to the Ministry of Culture and Tourism. If you're listening, this should prick your heart.
And even the Ministry of Information.
The National Orientation Agency, none of them can basically shy away from this conversation.
They actually have a FTAN in Nigeria. That's the Federation of Tourism Association of Nigeria.
They too. They
have a president.
All of them. This is a shout to them. It's a call to them because it's saddening to see. All our story. This is what we are about. Without an identity, we are no one.
At all.
Nigeria is not about the place. It's about the people. It's about the story. It's about the history. And we can't let it just go into drains.
Unattended.
And that's why this conversation is important. If we aren't doing it the right way, it's never too late. We can preserve the little ones that we have. Because without you go explain tire, no evidence.
Okay.
Evidence no good.
Time is not our friend.
Yes.
Sultan. I did express fear earlier that the time frame left might not really be enough for us to really
But
reach
I'm
a point of departure.
pained.
No, you're pain.
Okay.
We're definitely going to have this conversation again.
Probably we should get a historian.
Yes.
Apart
to
from a
join us.
historian, we could also have the FTAN president join us. Let's know what they are doing in the aspect of resurrecting all of these places that have been left unattended to.
Why? I'm
No
pained.
vex, you don't
Okay.
do no vex.
So now that history has been reintroduced, into our school curriculum,
Yes.
I mean, what would be your message to teachers across board? Because whether we like it or not, one thing that's been an impediment to Nigerian history, culture, and fact would be the fact that people are driven by tribal and religious sentiments for whatever reason or reasons best known to them. I mean, if history has been reintroduced, you're definitely going to see a situation whereby one teacher out of many would want to distort the facts just to massage the interest of the region he or she comes from, and at the end of the day, the aim will be defeated.
So reinstating it is just one thing. There's a lot more to do about this. How are you sure that the people who will teach this history know the history? Right? So we know how important this is. From this conversation, you can already see that for everything we are trying to build, it's dependent on our past and our history.
Yes.
Because in order to basically own up to what we have, then we need to basically trace it to our roots. Our roots that is devoid of sentiment and bias, and everybody can look into and see pride in it. Our stories were really rich, and for any branding to take place, which Nigeria itself needs to be branded, we must have to make traces roots to our past. And this is what it is. It's what it is. I will suggest that people who are to teach history go through rigorous trainings, right? They go through, legit historians come and tell the story and train these people. And if need be, we have to make it a very lucrative subject as well. Let it not be that because you are teaching history, you die of hunger. Let it be that this is our roots, this is what we are building on. Let's encourage the people who will teach this subject and tell the stories. Filmmakers too are not left behind in this conversation. Instead of acting some movies that I don't even know whether it makes sense anymore now, let us act history
Let's
movies
bring back
that
histories.
will bring back our history. Let's know our
that
roots.
we can learn from.
Let's learn from it. There are movies that you watch from beginning to end, 37 hours, you've not learned a thing. Meanwhile, we have rich stories and rich cultures
to be told.
Musicians, let's portray, let's do things differently.
Thank you.
All right. I mean, that's a very, very good submission, because I know at some point in time, that was like 2-3 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, where a movie was actually produced, just kind of like telling the cultural story behind a certain tradition or culture in the western state of the country.
Yes.
And when the movie was premiered, I mean, people actually, they excitedly went to, see it, and they were like, no, the facts are distorted. I think it has to do with, is it a festival or something? And then the locals had to come out like, no, this is not what,
transpired.
Sorry, before you tell me time have passed. But if those stories weren't told, then it couldn't, and it shouldn't have been corrected at the end of the day. So let's even tell the stories. Let's
continue making the mistakes
and make
get
amends
corrected.
and make the trace. That's the only way we can
It
get
was
back
also
to
a true movie.
Yes.
I get to learn about Moremi Ajasoro.
You see.
Yeah, so I think it's high time we bring those period,
bring
those
it
history
back.
back to limelight.
All right, and that's just going to be about the size of the conversation for the National Core Values this week. I'm very sure that you had a great time listening out there, and most importantly, you've been able to learn a thing or two. So if you're a parent, if you are a child, if you're a teacher, you are a caregiver, whatever it is, a religious leader, a traditional ruler, a politician, whatever category it is you find yourself, this is a collective responsibility for us to preserve our past, for us to protect what we have at hand, and also the future is very, very important.
Absolutely.
Honestly. Sultan Kamal, it's always a pleasure discussing these issues with you.
Pleasure, even
Thank
though I'm
you.
vexed. Don't
be.
Please don't be.
It will get
Don't
better.
worry. All right.
Thank you for coming.
Uche, our lone contributor on the WhatsApp portal, thank you so much.
You,
We see that a number of you actually monitor the conversation on Facebook. Thank you all so much. And Blessing Dan left a message. She says, well done job. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining the conversation. This show would make a